Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Carlos Alejandro Gallardo, and today we'll be talking about Trailhead. What is Trailhead? What can you do with Trailhead? How do you navigate Trailhead? And can you leverage Trailhead for your own career advancement? So let's get started. So first, you need to go to Trailhead. Unfortunately, in this video, I'm not showing the URL bar, but it's very easy to go into Trailhead. Basically, just Google Trailhead Salesforce, and I'm sure the first link that pops up will be the right web page. Or if you just want to type in trailhead.salesforce.com, and it'll take you to the Trailhead website. And depending on what country you are, it might be in English, it might be in Spanish, it might be in French. Depending on where you are in the world, you'll be able to uh, consume and use Trailhead in your respective language. So don't worry about that. I know I have a lot of Spanish-speaking friends that have asked me about Trailhead, and once they log in Trailhead in Mexico or in Spain, they're taken to the Spanish language website. So I'm glad that the Trailhead content team is thinking not just in a United States perspective, but an international perspective. Once you arrive at the website, this is what you will see. You'll see a welcome to Trailhead, the fun way to learn Salesforce. So that's what Trailhead is, based on the first question that I posed. Trailhead is the fun way to learn Salesforce. It is 100% free. You should never worry that signing up via Trailhead that you will be charged a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription, or that they will be asking you for donations. No, Trailhead is a 100% free platform where a content team that works at Salesforce produces and creates content on a daily basis to make sure that anything that you're trying to learn, Salesforce related, is present here. As you can see, there's a search bar, and if you're looking for anything, just type it in, and you're 100% going to find what you're looking for. For example, the Salesforce content team just recently released some new trails and modules, which I'll talk about shortly. What is a trail? What is a module? Regarding Apple Swift. So Apple Swift is the Apple's coding language in the iOS platform. So you can learn that about that here because Apple and Salesforce have a partnership to make sure that whatever you develop in Swift, again, which is the Apple development platform language, that um, you're able to build anything in that platform using the Salesforce knowledge. So just go ahead and type in Apple Swift or just Swift, and you'll be taken to what you're looking for. Again, this place is an amazing place where you can learn anything you're looking for. If you have an issue at work, if you're trying to learn anything about Salesforce, you can search for it and it'll return a lot of different content types, which we'll be talking about shortly. Again, this is the homepage. It talks about skill up for the future. And we're going to be talking about this in a different video. As you can see, Trailhead is a place where you can learn. And with that knowledge, you can build a career out of it. And what are the possibilities that you can find yourself once you learn Salesforce? You can be an administrator, a developer, etc. The next video that I'll be making will talk more in depth into each one of these areas and how you can leverage Trailhead for your career advancement, which is something amazing that Salesforce is trying to push towards the future. If I scroll down a little bit more, they'll be showing you Blazer trails. These are trails, which I'll be talking about shortly. What is a trail? What consists of a trail? But basically here they give you kind of pretty basic information about what this trail is about, the amount of time, how many modules are in it. I'll talk about modules shortly. You can favorite or you can add it to a trail mix. I'll be talking about that shortly too. Who is it for? Business users, and if it's a beginner, intermediate, or advanced trail. And yeah, there's a lot more trails that you can choose from. There's also modules, which I'll be talking about later. Choose your adventure. And yeah, you can join the global Trailblazer community by meeting new Trailblazers, which I'll also be talking about shortly. Again, here at the bottom, there's a couple more links, the language that you want to switch for. Again, depending on the country that you're in, you'll be able to, when you go to Trailhead, it'll take you to the respective language, but you can also choose here what the languages that you want to use Trailhead on. As I said, there's Spanish, there's French, I believe this is Chinese, uh, German, Deutsch, and Portuguese. And as I said, the content team is trying to become more international. They're trying to create more content in their respective languages. So if your language is not here, wait a little longer, and I'm sure some content will be created for you soon. You can also tweet at them at Trailhead, which is their Twitter handle, to get some content for your language up and coming. So the way that I'm going to do this video is we're going to, as we said, we already talked about home. We're going to be talking about trails. We're going to be talking about modules, projects, trail mixes. I think the video that I'm going to do next, I'm going to talk about credentials because this goes into other areas such as super badges certifications and certifications. And if we have time in this video, I'll talk about Trailblazers. If not, I'll do that in the following video where I talk about the credentials tab here. So let's go ahead and get logged in. If you haven't created a Trailhead account, the video before this teaches you how to get started with a developer edition org and how to use that developer edition or credentials to then sign up to your Trailhead account. So if you haven't taken a look at that video, go ahead and go back to my videos. It's the first video that I posted, the one before this, and do that. But if you have already done that, let's get started and log in to Trailhead. Once you do, you'll see that if you click on your home tab, it'll take you to your specific Trailhead account. So here, obviously, it says here, welcome Carlos Alejandro. That's me. It knows that it's me. And let's learn something new today. If we scroll through this page, you'll see that you have your in progress badges that you're working on. The way that you earn badges is you complete modules, and we'll be talking about modules shortly. You have your in progress trails and trail mixes, which we'll be talking about shortly. You have a percentage of completion bar here, which is pretty nice. You have your favorites, which again, I said if you go ahead and you click on the heart icons, on trail mixes, on trails, on modules, it'll then come up here in your favorites. You also have recommended for you modules. You have newest badges. Again, you complete and obtain badges by completing modules or others or super badges, which we'll talk about shortly too, or maybe again in the next video. I apologize. And trending badges. As I said, the content team in Trailhead creates modules and trails and trail mixes continuously. There's lots of content and knowledge that you can gain by just coming to Trailhead and just looking for it and or asking other people in the community to see what you can learn in Trailhead to advance your career or your knowledge or whatever it is. So that's a home tab once you log in into your Trailhead account. Now let's go to the Trails tab. So the Trails tab, as soon as you open the Trails tab, you'll see follow guided learning paths. Basically, you can put filters in what you want to learn on. So this little arrow, it collapses the filtering, but you bring it back up, the filters are back here. And you'll notice that there's different ways that you can filter this. You can filter by your role if you're an admin or a business user or a developer, the level of difficulty, beginner, intermediate, advanced, products. As you know, Salesforce has different products. The most popular one is Marketing Cloud, Community Cloud. All of these are actually pretty popular. Commerce Cloud is pretty recent. And you can also do it by tags. You can do it by Apex, which is Salesforce's coding language. You can do it by integrations. Heroku. Heroku is a different platform within the Salesforce ecosystem. And yeah, within here, you'll see that there's 125 trails. That's a lot of trails. And as I said, they're building more. Based on the filtering here, because we don't have any filters, we see 125 of the 125. Let's go ahead and filter. I feel like a lot of people that are going to be looking at this video are people in the admin space. So let's start there. Let's say it's an admin individual who is a beginner. Let's say we want to talk specifically about Marketing Cloud per se. And let's say tags, we can just leave it as it is, right? So here we have a couple of trails that come up. We have 7 out of the 125. Let's go ahead and click on the first trail here that I have 4%. Obviously, I have a lot to work on this one, but let's click on it to see what encompasses a trail. So once I click on it, it takes us to the Build Your Practice as a Consulting Partner trail. And you'll see that within the trail, we have modules and projects. We're going to be talking about modules next in the next tab and projects following that. But basically, a trail is an accumulation of modules and or projects. Here we see this is a module. This, I believe, is also a module. You can collapse and uncollapse here. to see the different units within the module. We'll talk about that shortly once we get to the modules tab. But basically, a trail is something that is built by Salesforce to kind of teach you a lot, to teach you a subject or a lesson per se. Here, we're trying to build and practice as a consulting partner, and there's different things that you can, different modules that you can go about using to kind of learn the basics about it. If I scroll down, it talks about the ethics and integrity for Salesforce partners, Salesforce business to consumer commerce for consulting partners, marketing cloud for consulting partners, Salesforce B2C commerce project management. So again, basically a trail is a combination of modules and projects in one to kind of teach a wider topic lesson. Here, as you see, there's 4% of it that I've completed. It tells you the amount of hours and minutes left, and it kind of gives you the tags that we were talking about before, or the filtering. So this can be for admins that are beginners, business users, or developers. You can go ahead and like it or favorite, as people like to say, or you can add it to a trail mix, which we'll be talking about shortly. That is a trail. Now let's move on to modules. The modules, you'll see that you also have this same filtering concept as in trails. Again, modules are built by Salesforce. They're specific to Salesforce content or content regarding Salesforce and partners, as we talked about early on. Apple is a partner, so there's some content here revolving around Apple and Salesforce. You can also do some filtering. And basically here, we know that there's 442 modules. And here, because there's no filters, we see all of the modules. It's a lot of modules. When Trailhead started back in, I believe, 2014 or 15, maybe 13, there was not that many modules. As you've seen now, Trailhead is becoming a completely new learning platform. And the Trailhead content team is building content every single day, every single week to teach us about new areas of Salesforce that are being developed on a daily basis too. So if things are getting built and we don't know about sales, we don't know anything about Salesforce, and there's not a way for us to get educated, then what good is it? And that's why the Trailhead team is building more of these pieces of content so that whatever Salesforce is building, we can get educated about it through Trailhead. Getting back to modules, let's dig deep a little bit into modules. Let's go into this module, session-based permission sets and security, that I'm 66% done. I have 25 minutes left. Here it tells us the units that are in it. If you click on this little guy, you'll see that I've completed 2 or 3 units. If I click in here, it'll take me to that unit. But before I do that, again, you can favorite, you can add it to a trail mix. It tells you kind of like the deep down here, the tagging, for example, it's for admins, intermediates, or developers. Let me just click on it and let's talk a little bit more about the module and about the units within the module. I click on the module. This is a session-based permission sets and security. It gives me a quick description. Again, the tags. There's another tag here for security. This is around security, Salesforce security. And it tells you in what trail it belongs under. I believe that most modules should be under a trail. If it's not, it's fine. But again, a module is, again, a piece or topic of information that is within the bigger scope of a trail, and each module will have units within it. And here we haven't seen any content just yet. We've seen kind of like the structure of the content. But let's go ahead and take a look at a unit which will have the content. Let's go ahead and look at this one that I've already completed. Get started with session-based permission sets. Again, we're not going to be talking about uh, system-based permission sets. I'm just going to cover how to navigate this. So basically, it gives you an attention Trailblazers. This is important to notice because some of these units will cover topics that are specifically on Lightning Experience or Salesforce Classic. For example, here it's saying that Salesforce has 2 different desktop user interfaces. I think I talked about this in my previous video. We have Lightning Experience and we have Salesforce Classic. This module was specifically built around Lightning Experience. So if you're completing a module and you're going into the units, make sure that you read the attention Trailblazers to kind of make sure that you know what are the prerequisites or kind of like an FYI. In this case, the FYI is that if you're going to be doing this, it's recommended to do it in Lightning Experience. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it in Salesforce Classic. You can. I have, but it's saying that it's designed around Lightning Experience. And then it gives you some links to other things. For example, here it's giving you a link to Lightning Experience. Moving on the right, you'll see again the time that it'll take to complete this module. Again, this is a recommended time. It's not a strict time. I know that for myself, sometimes I go about and do a unit, and it might take me an hour longer, or maybe 30 minutes longer, because sometimes I go deep and I try to understand the concepts that are being taught. Um, the topics we're going to be learning about the learning objectives. What are the objectives of this lesson? And then we have the other topics. And if you click on these, it'll take you directly to the topics, or you can scroll around, right? At the most units will have resources at the end. It'll have links to other things that are important to learn. For example, there's a resource here, and it'll take you either to another trailhead content type, or it might take you to a YouTube video, or it might take you to a Salesforce specific documentation. Again, the resources are so that once you learn about the topic that is present in Trailhead, maybe there's a little bit more research that can be done or can be referenced. And that's where the resources come in. As you can see here, I've already completed this challenge. Um, Let me click here on retake this challenge to show you what it would look like for you if you're a one time if this is the first time that you're looking at it. This is a hands-on challenge. There's a couple of other ways that the challenge will be presented to you. It'll be presented as a hands-on challenge, or it'll be presented to you as a quiz. This is a hands-on challenge. It gives you the instructions. It gives you what the challenge is about. You can select whether you want to complete the challenge in your different orgs. Here I have my Trailhead Playground org. I have an original developer edition org, etc. You'll have different orgs here. These are just the ones that I've uh, set up within my settings, which we'll talk about shortly too. But yeah, this is pretty much it. The easiest way that I like to navigate to the next unit is by clicking the drop down here, and then you can go to the next unit. Again, same thing, same structure. What are your learning objectives? What are the other sections within this unit? The resources gives me more links to other locations, and again, this assessment is completed. Once you complete an assessment, you can click, as I said, on this drop down that gives you the units within the module, or you can click the next unit, which is create easy access to the activation flow. So Trailhead is very user intuitive, very seamless, so you can get to different places by a different ways, which is pretty cool. I like it a lot. And again, just to show it a third time and final time, I promise, we have our learning objectives, we have our sections, we have our resources, we have a challenge. This challenge I have not completed. And as I mentioned before, it gives you kind of some like get ready instructions, what the challenge is before you start, and you can select the environment that you're going to be completing your challenge. In this case, I have my Trailhead Playground selected. You can select my Original Developer Edition, and you click Launch. It'll launch you to your Salesforce environment that you can log into. Or I guess because this isn't a developer edition, if I select my Trailhead Playground, if you click Launch, it'll just launch into your playground. And there you go. I'm inside of my Salesforce Trailhead Playground. I'm going to go ahead and close it, but that's how you can open it up and launch it. And then once you're done, you go ahead and check challenge to earn 500 points. For example, I haven't done this challenge, but if I go and click check challenge to earn 500 points, it takes a little bit of time, not too long. And ta-da! It comes up with an error saying that the Lightning app page called activate temp access flow doesn't exist. Check the Lightning app page's label and unique name. So again, I haven't done this. If you try to check a challenge, especially a hands-on challenge, and you don't have it, it'll give you an error when if you don't haven't completed it correctly. If you're completing a quiz, I'm not going to show you here because then I'm going to lose points. But basically, if you're trying to complete a quiz and you don't get it in the first try, you'll get a fraction of the actually it's 100 points for quizzes. So you start with 100 points if you don't get it right in the first time, and you try it a second time, you'll get, I believe, 50 points. If you try it a third time, if you don't pass it the second time and try the third time, you'll get 25 points. And then if you don't pass it after the third time and you keep going, you'll still get 25 points. So something to know. But yeah, that's basically how modules work and the units within the modules. So hopefully that was helpful. Now let's move on to the next tab, which is projects. Same thing, pretty basic. Filtering capability, the amount of projects that exist in the entire Trailhead content space, the tagging, the different steps. So in projects, it's not necessarily units as in modules, but it's steps. We'll take a look at that shortly. The percentage bar of completion, the amount of time, favoriting, and adding to your trail mix. So let's go into one of them. Let's see if I have one that, I guess the first one is build an Einstein bot. If I click into it, we have steps. Now, what's the difference? It looks very similar. Projects look very similar to modules. So why have modules and projects? What's the real difference? So the difference is that a module teaches you the basics of what you're trying to learn in that specific module. And it's doing it in sections, the units. And each unit has kind of like a chapter. It has sections within the units, so that makes sense. And it's kind of teaching you a high level topic that then you can apply when you're doing the challenge, whether it's a hands-on challenge or when it's a quiz. A project is more oriented to getting the things done while you're reading through the steps. So again, this is build an Einstein bot. Um, Here it gives you the timings. If I go to step one, literally it's giving me again the learning objectives, but it's literally introducing me to what I'm going to be doing in this project. And you're going to have to follow along. So you're going to be launching your Trailhead Playground. You're going to be publishing the Salesforce community. Like here it gives you the steps from setup, enter community settings in the quick find box, then select community settings, select enable communities, enter a unique domain. Literally step by step by step, it's teaching you what you need to do to complete this project. And at the end of the project, basically it's you're going to be building an Einstein bot. Pretty straightforward and simple, if that makes sense. And at the end of it, for example, retake this step. I believe this is, so again, if you're doing a module, you're going to have the challenge at the end. It's going to be a hands-on challenge. Here, a project, hopefully you're going to be completing the steps that are mentioned above. And when you get to the very end, you're going to be verifying that you completed the step. So here there's no instructions, there's no challenge. It's basically making sure that you follow the steps above. And once you're done, you come here, you verify it, and you're done. So that's the difference between a module and a project. Again, high level. A module is teaching you about an overall topic, a knowledge about Salesforce that you need to read, you need to understand, you need to digest. And then at the end of the module, you have a challenge, whether it's a quiz to take or it's going to be an actual challenge. And they're going to give you small amounts of information for you to complete the challenge. A project is, I want to do something. I want to build an Einstein bot. How do I do that? It gives you the step by step, and after each step by step, you need to verify that you completed the steps. Similar, but a little different. Um, so hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on. Trail mixes. What is a trail mix? So basically, we talked about trails at the very beginning of this video. Trail mixes are different because you can build them. So trail mixes, you have my trail mixes, or you can discover new trail mixes. You can see the in progress trail mixes that you're working on, or the trail mixes that were created by me, or you'll see the ones that you create. So here you'll see that I created a couple, and you'll see that you can also follow ones that are created by the Trailhead content team. For example, if I go to show all, you'll see that I'm following 28 trail mixes. And if you see a little trailhead icon, it's because it was created by the Salesforce Trailhead team. I know that I was following a couple of these. For example, this is a trail mix that was created by the Salesforce Trailhead team, and it's called Architect Journeys, Sharing and Visibility. So this is a trail mix, not a trail, similar to trails, yes, but it's a trail mix of a combination of different types of content. It can be videos, it can be links to different websites, it can be links to documentation, it can be modules, it can be trails within the trail mix. So a trail mix is a lot of things in one to accomplish something. In this case, it's to accomplish passing the sharing and visibility architect domain certification, which I did. And I can vouch for trail mixes. This trail mix really helped me study and prepare to take the exam and pass it in the first try. So go and look for trail mixes. You'll find a lot of them, and there is a lot of them created by other people, such as myself, such as other people in the trailhead community, or by the trailhead Salesforce team. Before we move on, there is a trail mix that I recommend highly if you're getting started with the world of Salesforce. Let me go to it really quickly, and I'll put a link in the video below, and I'll put a link in the description below to the Prepare for Your Salesforce Administrator credential. This is a trail mix that I highly recommend to people that are getting started. As I said, I use a trail mix to study for these difficult architect main exams. So I would recommend the same here. I highly recommend this trail mix created by the Salesforce Trailhead team to prepare for your Salesforce Administrator credential. And if we click into it, I'm not going to go through it every single piece of it. I might have another video to kind of help people understand how to prepare for a Salesforce Administrator credential. But basically, there's a link here that takes you to the actual study guide, um, the different weights of the exam, and then within it you have modules, or you'll see projects. Here we go, customize an org as a project, or you'll see documentation, activity management, TC2 piece of documentation, or you'll also see a super badge. We'll talk about super badges later, but again, highly recommend this trail mix. I recommend any trail mix. Go take a look at them. You can discover new trail mixes. Let's take a look at this. Again, there's 70 trail mixes, featured trail mixes created by the Trailhead team or created by, for example, here, Megan Peterson. You can create your own trail mix. I might or might not have a video about this, but they're pretty simple to create your own. So it's kind of like a playlist of things that you can put together. And I know that we talked previously, for example, if we go to this project, I can add this project to a trail mix. So I can add it, for example, to my Baquer wishlist certification trail mix. If I add it there, it gives me a notification that it's been added. If I go back to my trail mix tab and I go down here to my trail mixes, and if here I go to my Baquer wishlist certification trail mix, if I scroll down to the very bottom, I'll see build an Einstein bot, which I added here. I believe I can also remove it. If I go ahead and edit my trail mix, I can also share my trail mix. I can edit the name, the description, the trail mix name in the background. Actually, this is for the URL, my bad. And I can add more here from a list of them, or I can take away some. So I'm going to take that one away. I'm going to click save, done. Pretty quick, but that's how you go ahead and take a look at the trail mix tab, how you can discover trail mixes created by others, your trail mixes that you follow in progress, the ones that you've created by you, and you can create them by clicking on this button. So yeah, that is trail mixes. Next up, we have credentials. So if you click on credentials, it will not take you anywhere, but it's a drop down to three other sections: super badges, certifications, and verify certification. So I'm gonna gloss over really quickly over super badges, but I think the next video I'll talk about more in detail what super badges are, and then what certifications are, and what verify certifications are as well. But if we click on super badges, it'll take you to the section about what are super badges. I'm not gonna, as I said, not gonna go into them to this section in depth, but just as an FYI, super badges is a new concept within Salesforce to let other people know that if you've completed a super badge, it means that you know what's going on, you know what the topic is about, and you are very well versed in what the super badge is about. So in order to complete a super badge, it'll tell you what the things are that you need to complete, whether it's a module, whether it's a trail, whether it's a project, in order to unlock a super badge. And unlocking a super badge is a huge thing. If you Google or try to find on YouTube about super badges, there's a video, I believe, about how super badges can advance your professional career. Having a super badge is not like a badge. Having a badge is I completed a module and I know that specific thing in that module. But completing a super badge is something even bigger. It says that you're a specialist in something. You can be an app customization specialist. You can be a data integration specialist. You can be a lightning experience reporting specialist. And creating super badges, obtaining super badges, can be a little bit more difficult. You have to complete the different, for example, here I needed to complete lightning flow, formulas and validation rules, lightning app builder, build a battle station, and then you have the opportunity to unlock the super badge. And I believe, I might be wrong here, one second. Once you complete a super badge, there's a lot of information here as you can see. I haven't completed one just yet, which is something that I need to work on. But it gives you a bunch of information here about the fact that if you are a holder of a super badge, it means that you can do all these things. These are requirements about what you need to complete, what you need to do, and I think you need to get verified of, the fact that you have completed this about pre-work and notes and the duration of it. I think once I complete my first super badge, I'll create another video to go more and more in depth about super badges. But that's what super badges are, and you can find them under credentials. And again, they're under credentials because, again, having a super badge is as good as having a certification. It shows that you're a specialist in a specific area. And I believe Salesforce encourages Salesforce professionals to complete super badges and reference them within their LinkedIn profile or within their resume because it shows that you are someone, a specialist around this area. Again, another great reason to get into the Salesforce world through Trailhead because Trailhead has all that you need in order to advance your career, and that's something that we'll talk about in the next video using, again, the super badges section, the certifications, and verified certifications. And I think that I'll stop there. There is a Trailblazer section, but I believe that I think it's better off put till the next video because I think we've already spent a lot of time together today, which is not a bad thing, but I think breaking up these videos into different areas and topics is great. But what we learned today again was the different tabs and how to navigate Trailhead so that you can leverage it for your learning. Again, there's the home tab that kind of shows kind of like your overall home. We have trails, which trails are a combination of projects and modules. We have modules. A module is encompassed of different units, and it's a very specific topic that you're trying to cover. You have projects, which are step-by-step projects of trying to do something. As I said, we can build an Einstein bot, we can automate a business process for recruiting app, and then we talked about trail mixes. Um, in the next video, as I said, I'll talk about credentials tab and Trailblazers. And let me know if a video about your settings is helpful. I know I talked about it in my first video, how to navigate your profile, your Trailhead profile. But basically, when you click on your user over here, you have your name, you have the amount of badges that you completed, the amount of points that you've accumulated. And we talked a little bit about profile, settings, favorites. Favorites is where you'll see all of your content types that you favorited or the little heart, and you can log out too. But that's it for today. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I will answer them given time. And go ahead and subscribe to my channel to learn more about the world of Salesforce. I'm trying to use this platform to share the love of Salesforce and how you can learn about Salesforce so that you can pass that learning and knowledge to other people in the Salesforce ecosystem or people that are not in the Salesforce ecosystem just yet and want to learn more about it. So thank you for your time and have a good day. Bye.